the 16th of September 1810, Mexico celebrates its independence with its traditional cry.
Mexicanas y mexicanos, ¡viva nuestra independencia! ¡Vivan los héroes que nos dieron patria! ¡Viva Hidalgo! ¡Viva Morelos! ¡Viva México! ¡Viva México! ¡Viva México!
And before we go back to the United States of America, we celebrated with Mexicans their Independence Day in the presidential ranch. Few days before this date is the birthday of the dollar. The 2nd of September 1776, a committee led by Thomas Jefferson recommended to the Continental Congress that the US created basic unit of currency called the dollar. Gold is the color of wealth historically, but nowadays green means money. Or, as President Obama said, the dollar is the reserve currency of the world.
It is a really democracy what's happening in the United Nations.
Absolutely not. There is 5 guys here. Only 5 countries, which is what they decided right after the World War. So they have veto power there. So we can all the rest speak and complain and do and vote. They've come and say, those 5, this is it. And that's it. So no democracy within United Nations, no. It's being tried to build by the rest of the 190 nations. We're trying to demand for democracy. But who knows if that would be good? Too many people are coming with opinions and too many people having the same right to vote, you will never get the best solution.
Hi there. My name is Adnan. I just spoke to your wife on Facebook. I don't know if she let you know. It's about the Trump Day event.
Yes, sir.
To be honest with you, Jake, I just found out about the Trump Day event like a couple hours ago, and now I'm considering trying to change my plans so that I can make it from Indiana to Ohio to attend the event.
We would just need to do some due diligence or whatever, find some info. So if you could text me,
Of course.
anything I can look up about you,
Of course.
what you've done in the past,
Sure.
and then I'll have. But I mean,
In Granville, right?
Yeah, several people involved, and certainly, you can come and ask questions for sure.
Fantastic. Jim and Bernie Moreno and everyone's going to be in attendance and speaking essentially during the dinner about kind of the elections and
All the Senate candidates are going to speak. And then we've got Sabrina's going to speak, and then it's a meet and greet.
a meet and greet with the candidates essentially, right?
Yes.
Thank you, Jake.
Have a good one.
Bye bye. You too. Okay, great.
خلى يرد علي وزير الصحة.
إيه.
إذا تقدر يأجل ممتاز.
يكون أفضل.
إذا ما قدر يأجل استل هو قال لك إنه بيقعدون لي الظلمة.
أنت ما تبي تغير التيكت على أوهايو تذاكر.
ليش غيرها؟ لأن أنتم بتقعدون فيها أصلا طياراتكم أنتم من إنديانا لنيويورك.
لا بس you have to go.
إذا بيصير مقابلة.
You're gonna arrive in Indiana and drive 3.5 hours. And then drive 3.5 hours back. And then drive 3.5 hours back.
صحيح.
فهمت؟
بس أنا فور مي إن هي وايد أسهل بدل ما أنا أحول كل الخطة كل الشباب يروحون أوهايو.
صح. مو كل.
تمام. ولأن مضطرين هم ناخذهم ونروح إنديانا. يعني still هو the same thing بس instead of bringing everybody عادي everybody to Ohio بعدين من أوهايو لإنديانا لا نوصل كلنا إنديانا واللي اللي لهم الموضوع يروحون
وانتم مأجرين السيارات كذي. I think it's perfect. بعدين سابرينا
لا أنا خليه يرد علي وزير الصحة. نفس الهدوم the same clothes but a different status. From Mexico to Dallas.
I can see tired already.
والله tired. From Mexico to Dallas, we left Mexico at 6 a.m. We didn't sleep all day because they celebrated their Independence Day there. So fireworks and everything. We didn't sleep directly to Dallas. In Dallas, the flight was late for 1 hour. We missed our flight. Half of the team went directly to Indiana for tomorrow's interview. We came all the way here. This guy, we didn't meet Ibrahim. We might not make this. This is the countryside, huh? But they're big supporters of Trump. Let's try for the last time. Jackie, please answer. They're busy.
Hello.
Hi, Jackie. I'm sorry. I've called a lot, but we've just.
We are jam-packed here.
Oh, good. So should we stay outside, or do you have a small space for me to go in?
You won't be able to get anywhere close, parking-wise, and I don't know how you'll get in, but if you have any equipment or whatever.
Yeah, so what do you think? Should we try? Because we're there.
Where are you?
I'm 2 minutes away.
Oh, shoot, yeah. That's fine with me.
Okay, we're here. I'm seeing some police, and I'm seeing... I have arrived already. Okay.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Jackie. Thank you. Bye-bye. Wow, nice. You came exactly the right time. Alhamdulillah. Here you go.
Everybody's Trump
supporter.
That's not an endorsement. He didn't support the president the whole way. So right now, raise your hand if you would support the other Senate candidate, if they were.
Definitely some people who voted for Trump were racist and they voted for him for racist reasons. There is definitely an element of Donald Trump's support that has its basis in racism or xenophobia.
Can you believe this J.D. Vance guy calling us racist? I mean, listen, let me answer John's questions on the election. First, there's nothing racist about photo ID. We have to institute photo ID everywhere.
Because when I talk about the border, I don't call it a crisis. It's not a crisis, by the way, at all. This is a full-blown invasion of America. I waited 13 years to become a citizen. So if somebody cuts that line, I find that deeply offensive. And they can't call me a racist. They can't say I hate South Americans.
Good morning, doctor. He's better than the bell.
Exactly. Hey, come on in.
Thank you. How are you this morning, doctor?
I'm doing all right. And I was going to wear a jacket and no tie, but I didn't know if you want to tie or...
No. It's your house. You decide.
Okay.
Cold water, $2. Gatorade for 3. So,
USA.
it costs $2 billion to arrest every homeless person, right? That's what they spend on arresting the homeless. All right, because when they arrest them, you pay the police to arrest them, you pay the people in the jail, right? Feeding him, clothing him. It will cost half of that to give them homes.
As a doctor, as the head of the medical body here in the United States of America, being in a country where it has 4 top hospitals from the top 10 in the world. How do you evaluate how people here, the citizens of America, are treated from the health perspective?
America has the best health care in the world, but it's only available to a very small subset of the population. That's the U.S. healthcare system in a snapshot.
Do you see what I'm saying? We would save money.
Then if it's that simple, why?
Because the political will is not there. Because no one cares about the homeless. They are not a voting bloc, really. You know, how many homeless people get to the polls to vote for Biden? No. They're busy trying to beg for food to survive. You see what I'm saying? And most of them are sick in the head or drug addicts, right?
So there are people who fly from Kuwait, who fly from the UK, who fly from all over the world to come here and go to Mayo Clinic, to go to Cleveland Clinic, to go to Johns Hopkins to get care.
You know, nobody cares about them. It's just a fact. They just don't care about them.
This segment of the population is one of the great tragedies and shames of American life today.
Where are you from?
I'm from Kuwait, sir.
Kuwait, okay. Have you ever been to Afghanistan?
No, never.
I was there.
As a soldier, sir?
Yes.
Sir, if you don't mind, this is something not common for me back home. And I'm here to do a political documentary, okay?
Right.
But I saw this, I wanted to stop. Will you allow me to have a simple interview with you, sir?
Yes.
When I see the statistics, it says, for example, maybe in the second rank or the third, that they were soldiers before being homeless. So they gave this country a lot.
Yeah.
They've been soldiers and they turned to be homeless. Why would someone like you, serving the country, stopping in such a place, asking for help?
I know where. That's a very good question.
I've met homeless. He's been serving in the American army in Afghanistan, and he told me that as much as Afghanistan is poor, he never met a homeless in Afghanistan. But here he is in America and he's a homeless. And veterans represent huge numbers of homeless. You, as someone that wrote stories about America, what is the real story of homeless?
So, homelessness is one of the greatest tragedies that has ever happened.
Beside your house here, we founded a homeless. Mm-hmm. How big is that problem in America, homeless?
It's a huge problem.
And in Los Angeles, homelessness is rampant. And it is I think probably the biggest problem that people in Los Angeles are trying to address now. So they haven't solved it. A lot of people throw up their hands and say, I can't solve it, but you can't have that attitude. You've got to try every single day to solve it.
I think the disparity in the living conditions of the very wealthy versus the less wealthy is a huge problem, but housing, I think, is a primary one.
The other reason is the higher cost of housing, which is a prevalent problem in big urban areas, beginning to be here, but much bigger in Los Angeles and in San Francisco, where you have thousands and thousands of people who can't afford affordable housing to rent.
Housing in the United States is an investment. So housing prices go up because people are buying not to live in these houses, but to have them as investments. And many of these homes in big cities where homelessness is a problem are actually vacant. And yet we haven't figured a way to better utilize our resources so everybody has an acceptable standard of living that shows human dignity for everyone.
If you want to meet movie stars, you should go to Hollywood in Los Angeles, California. And as much as we saw stars in Hollywood, we saw homeless people sleeping beside those stars. Every star represented a movie, and every homeless represented reality. I couldn't believe that I am in Los Angeles or in one of the most iconic streets of America. The question is, why?
I've been to Afghanistan. I've also been to Istanbul, Turkey. I've been to all those countries.
I think mental health needs to really be addressed so that we can rehabilitate people who don't want to go into shelters or who are on, drugs or medicine that's wrong, whatever.
There are two reasons why people are homeless. One is mental illness, typically dually diagnosed with alcoholism or drug abuse, and they need treatment. If you're addicted and you can't work and you're abandoning the instincts to take care of your family and you're on the streets, you need to be given care. So that's one reason.
There's another factor that impacts the homelessness population, and that is mental health.
I hate to say it because I met some of the most beautiful people in my life in Afghanistan, but that country, it's never really even been a country, to be honest with you. It's a crossroads. Genghis Khan came through there and wiped everybody out. The Ottomans, the Persians, everybody came through Afghanistan. And it's never really been a viable country outside of the fact of the drug cartels. They are the ones who control everything in Afghanistan.
We are at a point in the United States where finding professional mental health help, counseling, psychiatrists, psychologists, counselors, is almost impossible. There's waiting lists for months to see a psychologist or a psychiatrist. And getting a loved one in, getting somebody off the street and into the kind of counseling they might need is very, very difficult.
Why I'm homeless is probably because my mental state. I can't.
Sir, your mental is believe me, I believe you've just gave me in 5 minutes the history of Afghanistan. You have a lot in your mind. You're not sorry if you mean that you have everything. You have the focus, you have the memories, you have the knowledge.
I should.
It's substance abuse, it's mental illness.
Why I believe that it goes back to your career, because everyone we've met said that the reason behind that we're having homeless is drugs and mental illness. And from what I saw in the streets, it's the other way around. They start homeless and then they become ill with drugs, or because we see fresh homeless and they're not using drugs and they're not mentally ill. What can you say?
I think among the rich and powerful, you'll find plenty of drug use. So I don't think it's drugs. Number one, certainly a drug addiction is a problem throughout our society, but it targets everyone. It's not just the destitute that succumb to drug addiction. So take drugs out of the picture.
I mean, there are many people who are homeless simply through no fault of their own, through they lost their job, they don't have the skill to do another job, and they don't have a family to help them, yes. But then there's a huge segment that have PTSD, have substance abuse, and just simply need help. They just simply need someone to reach out and to put them in a center where they'll get the mental health care that they need.
We have defunded social services in this country and public health in this country, so that it's very difficult even for somebody who has a job, who has good health insurance to get adequate mental health care. And that's a problem because untreated mental health problems cause all kinds of different social problems. And, you know, I'm sure that the deinstitutionalization process that we had because the mental health institutions were abusive in the 50s and 60s and 70s contributed to the idea that the people that were being put on the street have a mental health problem. But I think that's more of an excuse for wealthy people to be able to say, this isn't our problem.
They represent more than 8% of homeless are veterans. How do you feel towards those numbers?
One of the biggest tragedies in this country is how we treat our veterans and how poorly we prepare them for the transition out of the military. Homelessness is one example. Almost 10% of homeless people in the United States are veterans. But another shocking statistic is that 20 veterans a day in the United States die by suicide.
Well, the worst thing I did was I sent people to their death.
How?
By questions.
Where? Afghanistan? Turkey?
Turkey and Afghanistan, yeah.
And what did you ask them? Is it about something related to terrorist locations?
Terrorist locations and different things.
And what was your position?
Well, my position was I was an interrogator.
And how did the American army left you behind? Why didn't what you've been through is heavy.
When they went into the military, they actually found family. They found structure. They found support. And the military was a stabilizing force for them. And then they go back out in the community when they're done and they lose that family. They lose that stabilizing force.
The Army was good to me, okay? Those people. But coming back here, you know, nobody, they don't want to know. They don't want to know that story. You know, they don't want to know that. So it's hard to, you know, say, well, I'm a murderer, you know. Basically is what I fucking am.
I was part of the Prevents task force that was put together by the White House to address veteran suicide. And we know that in many cases, people feel a comfort, feel a family when they're in the military, but then they transition out and they go back to society and they're lost. And you have a public that doesn't always respect or acknowledge or appreciate their service, particularly if they may have been part of an unpopular administration or an unpopular war.
They were never our enemies to begin with. They were not the ones. You know, we went there to find Osama bin Laden. And guess where he was at? He was in Pakistan.
Again, 20 veterans a day dying by suicide.
Saying 20 people are dying on a daily basis might not even reflect the full truth. They represent 25% of people that are suiciding. They lost faith. They defended their country and now they're here killing themselves. Is that only because they have some illness in their minds? What else?
Well, what's interesting is we did a lot during the last administration to try to unpack why so many veterans were taking their lives or thinking about taking their lives.
Did you hear the news about Afghanistan in the last 2 weeks?
Oh, I've been watching it every day on my phone. And
what do you feel about what's happening now in Afghanistan?
How I feel is a great sadness, a terrible sadness.
Criticism growing tonight on the Biden administration's decision to withdraw troops from Afghanistan.
And the Air Force provided this picture of refugees cramped into one of the flights out of Afghanistan.
These are people that have helped our troops. We couldn't have done what we did the last 20 years if it hadn't been for them putting their lives on the line. So we owe it to them to get them out.
You know, people every day that you see that are riding by here right now, they don't even think about Afghanistan. They don't think about that shit. They don't care. They don't care. And they don't want to hear about it no more, okay?
I see the faces of all the people we could not save, all those that we left behind. I wonder if our Afghan allies fled to safety or they were killed by the Taliban.
But 20 years, you know, nobody can tell you a good reason. Nobody.
After 20 years, I've learned the hard way that there was never a good time to withdraw U.S. forces.
But I will say, God bless Joe Biden. He said, not gonna do this anymore, right? This is gonna be over.
I think they have an issue that people are likely to get hurt. Some, as we've seen, have gotten killed, and that it is messy.
And sadly, the most heartbreaking thing to me is you left a lot of people that are going to be murdered. You know, they're going to be killed. Their whole entire families, you know.
The withdrawal was a catastrophe, in my opinion. And there was an inexcusable lack of accountability and negligence.
If I leave this committee with only one thought, it's this. It's not too late. We're going to talk a lot today about all of the mistakes that were made leading up to that, but urgent action right now will save so many lives.
That's almost too much to bear. It is too much to bear. I can't bear it. But, you know, at some point you gotta say, we're not gonna be a part of this anymore. But you know, we're in a world economy. We're on the World Wide Web. You know, this phone right here has all the information that has ever been gathered together. It has it all. Everything that you ever want to know is right here, all right, in your pocket.
Right now at 6, thousands of our nation's heroes asking where's the money tonight. They served our country, survived war, and now just want to make sure their families are taken care of. That's part of a promise the military made when they signed up, but the federal government is failing to live up to its end of the bargain for too many veterans.
Our team identified a backlog of 200,000 cases, each one representing a veteran who's waiting for decisions about their monthly disability payments.
Wow. Go, 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 go. Take the homeless, huh? Take the homeless, huh? The homeless there. يا الله انزل. تكفى نزل يلا.
Homeless are not villains in a fiction movie. They are a reality. A big percentage of homeless people are American heroes, heroes that are left behind. A new question occurred. Is the American political and economical system behind this disaster?
You know, when I was in Ethiopia, I mean, there was homeless, but the truth is that if you're homeless, it's because your entire family is dead and there's no one to take you. You see what I'm saying? Otherwise, you know, if you have a cousin or an uncle or someone will take you. They love each other. It's not as consumer based. It's more people based in the Muslim cultures and also in the African cultures. So, you know, I've noticed that. It's more of like, you know, we have a saying that it takes a village to raise a child. That's an African saying. And now everybody says it, you know what I mean? Now it's a Western saying.
You never saw a homeless in Afghanistan?
Never. I never saw. If you're in Afghanistan and you walk to somebody's house, they say, come, my brother, come inside right now and I'll feed you, right? And they do it. That's how they do it. But they don't do that here. They don't do that here.
When I go to for example, if I want to compare, as you said, go to Russia and see, I would see poor neighborhoods, but everybody is the same.
I guess you're saying, well, there's more, it's more equally distributed, the despair, but there's more of it too. So I think the answer to the question of seeking equality in misery isn't the answer. What we ought to be doing is seeking equality of purposefulness to allow people to live a better life. So
America is best. Quoting Churchill. That's a quote of Churchill, right?
I didn't mean to. I didn't mean to, although I'm a huge fan. There he is right there, the last lion.
I have a quote I would love you to comment on. A quote that you've just mentioned is, I think, in 1945, which says that the inherent vice of capitalism is the unequal sharing of blessings. And then he continues by saying the inherent virtue of socialism is the equal sharing of miseries. This is what you've just said.
Yeah. I'm honored that I came close to quoting Churchill.
Here they say, well, you don't have any money, you know, then you don't have anything. You know, you don't.
And the other quote, which is also from Churchill in 1948, he says, socialism is the philosophy of failure, the creed of ignorance, and the gospel of envy.
No, I think, look, the capitalist system, the challenge is to make sure that there's an equality of opportunity, not a guarantee of results. And I think socialism has failed significantly because it tries to guarantee results as the means by which they achieve equality of opportunity, and you can't guarantee results. You have to build capacity for people to be successful.
The first time you've experienced physical fear was in Wall Street. This is what you've said in the book. When you wanted to leave the office and those young students in university were trying to take over Wall Street. Beside, you went in your first experience in a physical fear. How do you look at capitalism and how it's the negative side of capitalism? Especially we're talking about Wall Street, and it's one of
the negative side of capitalism is it's not equal for everybody. I mean, it's true. You know, I mean, I believe in capitalism, but I believe in a level floor, so to say. I mean, in other words, and it's what I said before. So yes, if you believe in capitalism, you believe that somebody can work hard or be smart and clever and make $1 billion. Okay, that's a number I can't even imagine, but you can do that. And I'm not blaming that person. That person, if they did it honestly and with hard work or invention or cleverness, I believe they deserve that. But I don't believe that somebody who's born into poverty through no fault of their own, maybe, their parents lost the jobs, maybe they don't have the skill set, maybe they don't speak the language, whatever it is, they still need to know that they have basic food, basic health care, and a good education. And if they get that, then they too can become that billionaire if they want to. I'm not saying they want to. And I'm not saying everybody should want to. I'm just saying they can then work hard and get a job and have a family and support their family.
The homeless that I've met told me that he's a homeless because of capitalism. He thinks that people are not served equally because of capitalism.
Maybe it's just because of the capitalistic society, all right?
Let me say it in a different way. Is the problem of homelessness a natural product of capitalism system?
No. It's a problem of local communities not making it a high priority to deal with it.
Someone from Kuwait traveling to Mayo Clinic, but 90% of the American citizens can't go to Mayo Clinic to be treated. Is that one of the results of capitalism?
Yes, it is.
That's the exact question I asked Jeb Bush, the governor of Florida. I told him, is the homeless a result of capitalism? He said no.
Yes, it is a result of capitalism. It has to be. It's the only answer that anybody can give you.
I believe that to be true, and I believe one of the problems is that we've let this idea of capitalism overtake our healthcare system to the point that it is causing inequities. And that is a real challenge in our system that we need to continue to work on, to fix, because the person you talk to is exactly right. Right now, our system is not functioning to provide equitable care and access to the majority of people in this country.
If there's health disparities, which there are, between people in lower income communities and those that are more prosperous, then deal with the health disparities, solve the problems. But the wealth that's generated from capitalism, without it, you're going to have a quality of misery.
24 million Americans will lose health insurance coverage by 2026 under the Republican plan to replace the Affordable Care Act. 14 million people will lose health insurance in the next year alone.
Now we can also consider having 4 of the best 10 hospitals in the world are here in the United States of America, but still 9.5% of all deaths came out of medical errors in the United States. How can we see this in the same country where the best hospitals are there and those huge numbers that comes out of medical mistakes?
We're dealing with doctors, physicians, surgeons deal with people with severe, complicated issues. We also have a legal system that allows people to sue. Many countries, there's no way to know what the medical errors are because there is no rights of patients or their families to seek justice if there's a problem. In fact, I think our country by far has the most open litigation system to be able to protect patients' rights. So I would not be surprised that medical errors across the world are equally high. It's just that there's protections of the medical industry and doctors in other places that is very different than here.
But there are people who live in Baltimore who can't get care at Johns Hopkins. There are people who live in Cleveland who can't go to Cleveland Clinic. There are people in Minnesota who can't get care at Mayo. And that is the problem with the U.S. healthcare system, is it is fantastic, but it is highly inequitable.
This grotesque level of income and wealth inequality is wrong. It is wrong that the middle class for 40 years has been in decline. It is wrong that people have to work 2 or 3 jobs to survive. It is wrong that young people are leaving school $50,000 in debt. It is wrong that women are making 79 cents on the dollar compared to men. It is wrong that we are the only major country on earth that does not guarantee paid family and medical leave, or that all of our people do not have health care as a right.
And so one of the things that I will spend the rest of my life trying to do is make sure everyone has access to high quality, affordable health care here in the United States, trying to make sure we can establish health equity.
And what this chart shows, distribution of average income growth during expansions. What happens in 1982? Well, Ronald Reagan is president, and the good news is we are into trickle-down economics. And here it is.
We talked about Ronald Reagan in our last conversation. I believe in the potential of improving things. And we should have a hopeful, optimistic message to give people hope that things could be better, and then roll up our sleeves and solve these things. So America at its best does that. When we get depressed and pessimistic, which is kind of the environment we're in now, we default to these failed systems that have existed in other countries, and it's quite dangerous.
It's my fault that I'm here. Okay, it's my fault. It's nobody else's fault. But
You want us to stop this?
No, it's okay.
You want us to stop? Tell me whenever you want to stop this.
No, you're good. You're good.
We need to have much more compassionate capitalism. We need to not have this winner-take-all capitalism where if you don't have the money to buy into the system, then you're denied basic human rights. And we also need to understand that some things don't lend themselves to capitalism. So everyone should have a basic level of access to health care.
Because we need to be there at 1 here.
America has a big race that has no finish line. The race is to reach the American dream, and everyone wants to participate in that dream. The Fearless Girl statue is a good example of that. Staring at the glass ceiling in the Wall Street community building, calling for equal pay for women. In this country, young people, women, men, wealthy people trying to be even wealthier, or poor people that want to be rich. It is a tough race that changed everyone's priorities in America.
You went through stress waves, and then you went to different physicians just to help you go away from that. Why is this a common characteristics among young Americans? Why are young Americans going through a lot of stress?
But when you're breaking away from your parents who you really love and respect and you care about them, and then you're breaking away sometimes from your friends, and then you're going to try something, like in my case, being in the movie business when nobody I knew was in the movie business, and anybody I told made fun of it and said, "Who do you think you are? Why are you going in the movie business?" It's scary.
What are the most 3 important things for any American?
That's such an interesting question. It's funny, so I actually wrote a book called Pick 3. You mentioned the number 3, and I've been thinking.
And you love numbers.
I love numbers. I love data. I love numbers. So I've been thinking a lot about this because people used to ask me, how do I balance it all?
Why is America leading in all sectors? Because people here give their lives to jobs. It's not a working hours. It's not family and friends and work. It's work and work and work. So, and you've mentioned that you've lost many husbands maybe because of that, or you didn't engage romantically because of that.
I hear you. This is really an interesting discussion to me, and it's about what path you take. So when I wanted to work, and initially I wanted to work more than I wanted to get married or have kids.
You know, Randy, you have young children and you have a career and you're traveling a lot. And I think I used to pretend that I balanced it well, like everyone else does. But somewhere along the line, I just decided to get honest with people. And I was like, no, I don't balance it all.
And I didn't think I could do it all. And that's probably correct, especially then when there weren't any women. So I made a choice that I was going to pursue my career and that would give me the utmost happiness. And fortunately, I was lucky because I was able to be successful.
Nobody does. Every single one of us is making a calculation about what we're focusing on and prioritizing in our life and what we're not. And so I kind of came up with this mantra called Pick 3, and it goes like this: work, sleep, family, friends, fitness. Pick 3.
One of the things that we don't see, or at least maybe nowadays, is the value of support of families. Everybody here in America we saw, even if he's successful, he's alone. You said that in that speech, and also you've mentioned that in the book, is that certain achievements need someone to live alone or not to be linked to a partner, a husband or a brother or maybe a house.
Say that again, because I'm a little
okay,
confused.
sure.
So America, you're saying, this is very interesting to me,
sure.
actually. So you're saying that America, the family values that you have, like, for example, in your country, are not the same here.
It might look silly, but believe me, it should be a deep question. You've been to Kuwait, and you know that if someone is single, and even if he's 33 or 34, the normal thing is to stay home with his parents. Let me tell you how. If I said in America I live with my parents and I'm 30 years old,
they would think they would wrong.
They would laugh on me, right?
Yeah.
But in back home, it's something common.
Yeah. I think you're lucky.
You're seeing families are getting fewer, marriages getting fewer. How can you comment on that?
Well, one of the challenges is that we're losing community. And one of the books that I have in my office is called Bowling Alone.
We value in America independence. Do you know, when my kids graduated college, we told them they were on their own.
It's other way around in the Middle East. If you're living alone and single, then that's a big question mark.
If my 38-year-old son or my 46-year-old son wanted to live with me, I would say no.
I think we need to rethink all of those norms and challenge them.
But you're right, we don't have the same way of showing it or acting on it, and your way may be better. Maybe we lost that in our success. Maybe we lost that in progression, and maybe that's one of the reasons people are stressed. You know, I mean, they could be. I don't know. I'm not a psychiatrist, but I'm just saying, you're right. It's fascinating what you said to me.
But also with individuals, we don't even talk to one another anymore. We pick up our phones and we're focused in on our TikTok or on our social media, and we're not having interactions in the way that we used to.
I think it's interesting because I think the pandemic really changed a lot of that in American culture, actually. You're right. 18 months ago, people would have probably laughed at you if they said, oh, you're 30, why are you living with your parents? But actually, this year saw record numbers of Americans moving back in.
That was chapter 1. Work, 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 work. No man's going to understand that you're not home cooking dinner for him. No man's going to understand that you're working on Saturday and Sunday. So relationships didn't last, and I worked.
Business people that I've met, even businesswomen, say that this is the American culture. Those are the American way of living. You can't be a successful mother and be a successful businesswoman. You need to give away children. You need to give away family. You need to give away socializing in the real life to be successful here in America. It's beyond only TikTok or social media or not. It's about, there is no family like how we saw in the old movies of America.
I was 47 when I got married the second time. And so by then, my husband and I were fully formed, and I became a stepmother to my 2 children. So I got the experience of being a mother. Then I achieved what I wanted, chapter 2. A husband, kids, They are not my biological kids. They have wonderful mothers, but they have included me, and I couldn't love them more than if they were my biological kids.
There were so many articles that I saw. It was like the love story no one's talking about, parents and their adult children reconnecting and rediscovering one another. And so I think in some ways this past 18 months has really changed what the American family looks like and how people value their connections across generations. So I hope that's something that will stick and we won't just go right back into that culture.
Now, chapter 3, and nothing at this time, at the age of 77, nothing is more important to me than my family and my friends. But I mean nothing. You could say to me, here's another Oscar, but you have to miss something with your family, and I would probably say, no, thank you. I have to be with my family. I wouldn't have said that, in the first 10 years of my life.
I do think it has become an American value, this American ideal of going it alone, of foregoing family and foregoing, really the things that you might enjoy otherwise for the sake of your career.
Most Americans, I think you're right. There's a great expression that I've always heard, and it was European. Americans live to work, and Europeans work to live.
So, you're very lucky in Kuwait City, you have everything right there, media, finance, tech. In America, you have to go to Washington, D.C. to be in politics, Los Angeles to be in media, Silicon Valley in tech, New York to be in finance. And so a lot of people's careers and their dreams pull them away from their families.
Actually, I think probably we've gone too far one way. And it would be better if we kind of move back a little. But I'm not sure we can, because if someone else is working 12 hours a day and you stop, they're going to get ahead.
He's young. He has hopefully a very long life in front of him. And this one of you've said that you're the second maybe to have children in school and serve in such a position. So does that make it even harder to defend or to be against Trump?
What's
being
interesting,
in this age?
I totally get what you're saying, and people have asked me that a lot, and I've thought about that a lot. And honestly, if I was worried about my career, I wouldn't have worked for this administration because I knew that people were going to really attack me for working for this administration.
My pleasure.
And have a safe trip.
Oh, absolutely. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
You all have a safe trip.
Thank you.
You got the long drive coming up. Are you driving to Philadelphia or are you flying?
No, we're driving Philadelphia by car.
Philadelphia?
Yes.
Wow.
And then going to New York. We have one more interview in America before we leave it to Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
It's a pleasure to be with you. Thank you for having us in your house. Sorry we took the most expensive thing in the world, which is time.
It's okay. You were in my pick 3 today.
Okay, great. Thank you very much.
Thank you
for your
so
time.
much.
Thank you very much. Thank you, Mom. By the way, we took our shoes. we thought that this is the only thing that happens in.
I love it. I love it.
Please show this.
Here, I'll take my shoes off too, and we can fit together.
Then why is she allowed to have her shoes? Okay, sorry.
I know. I asked my mom if I can wear them.
That makes sense in Kuwait because we pray. Yes. But what's the reason here? Why you doing?
For the shoes off?
Yeah.
Oh, it's just because New York is so dirty and people are like on the subway, and then I have a 2-year-old daughter who's like on the floor, crawling.
Yeah, you're right.
Things, so it's very typical.
Thank you very much, sir. It was a pleasure.
Hey, be safe. Be safe driving.
Thank you, sir.
It's clear that there is a unique American perspective of everything. And what seems wrong in the part of the world I'm living in might be a principle in America. As an example, in America, if you call someone greedy, you are not insulting him at all. Because greed is an economical American principle.
So you've been living in an RV
Yes.
for the past few weeks?
Just imagine, but I have showers, so no worries.
No, I'm not worried about that. I'm more just like thinking maybe about your mental health after doing that.
Look,
I don't know that I can do that.
Yeah, we did that, but of
All
course,
of you guys together?
No.
Okay.
Only the good ones.
I was like, you still like each other after doing that?
Look, there was transitions.
Okay.
So love, hate, love again, and maybe now hate. I'm not really sure. But we're done today, so we're leaving the US today.
Oh wow! Are you getting to do anything fun in New York while you're here?
They're staying. For me, I'll leave today, so right away from me we'll go visit the Times Square. We
Yes.
didn't have the time to shoot Times Square,
Okay.
so we'll do that, and I'll go directly to the airport. But New York is always a destination that you'll come back to. So
Yes, please. Well, next time
sure.
you're here, I would love to
I hope.
take you guys out to
That's amazing.
enjoy
That's
the
so
city a little
generous
bit.
from you to offer. Thank you.
I don't deserve to be alive, you know? I don't.
Why, sir? Why? Everyone does. Did you read about Islam in Afghanistan?
Well, I know who the Prophet Muhammad is. I know the Quran. And I have studied, not a lot, but a little, but there's only one God, only one. I don't care what you call him, there's only one God. And the Prophet Muhammad will say, only one God, only one. So, I am as much a Muslim as I am a Christian, I guess would be the best way to put it. I believe that Allah is the only God. You know, I believe that. I believe it with all my heart. There is one God. There's only one.
Would you mind reading in any time you have time? It shows that you have time about how God gives mercy and give forgiveness to people in Quran, and how and when. Would you mind doing that in the upcoming days? Can you promise me that? Just that part in the Quran.
Do you have a Quran? Do you have one?
I will give you one. Give me your number, sir.
It's 904. Thank
It was
you.
pleasure.
It's my pleasure as well.
عن أول طريقة قال أنا أصلاً I believe that Allah is one. I believe I'm a Muslim as much as I'm a Christian. I don't believe. I know that there is one God. That's for sure. يعني مو عادي. يقول they say this is a democracy, but I don't believe it's a democracy. It's powerful people naming it whatever and keeping us behind. Money controls and creates decisions, and decisions are made to create the system. Systems can drive and control governments. Governments can decide when to start or end wars, but neither the money or the system or wars can control anyone's belief. فعلا نفسه اللي حصل بودونا السجن عليه القاء غضب.
انا زي عندي. But you want to please? قول لي تصير.
هذه لوحته صح؟ هذه نوع سكينة. هاي نباطة. Sorry, I can't help more.
Well, you have helped me. You've made me remember why I'm alive right now.